Welcome to a pretty important edition, also the season finale edition of the Bulluminati podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Bond. Joined alongside me, as always, Seth Varnadore, and stepping in for the absent Robert Steeg, our beautiful podcast producer, Anthony Vito. Guys, I mean, does anyone really care about the game? It seems like everybody we've had a boatload of comments since just before we went live. Does anyone really care that USF finishes 1-11? They lost once again in the War of an I-4, the final time, Lord willing, we ever see that trash ass school from Oviedo.
You said Oviedo and I heard Oviedo. My vocal cords care because I destroyed them that day. And that was, I swear, at that fumble when they scored a touchdown, went ahead. They got the fumble. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I've never been that overwhelmed with the 2-point conversion in 2017 too. But that was just one of those oh my goodness. But then I knew exactly what was about to happen.
There was a lot of sports happening in that moment.
There was a whole lot of sports happening in that moment. And I mean, we could get into the nitty gritty of the three rushes on the final. Does it really, in the grand scheme of things, matter? This team is 1-11. It finishes the year as the literal SP plus, and by a lot of metrics. The offense was exciting at times. Through three, still pretty consistent play.
You're going a little robot here. You might want to go video off.
All right. How's now?
Great.
Perfect. We'll figure it out.
You're good.
Yeah. No one cares. Am I okay? Good. Literally no one cares about this season.
Yeah. Nobody wants to.
It was over in September. It was over with, once again, 14:46 left in the first quarter against BYU. We knew, and that was it. It was over. It was over with after that.
The defense never got
problems on defense never got fixed.
You did get a 1,000-yard rusher.
We did get a 1,000-yard rusher.
I got the closest on the final game prediction. I mean, that's there's big stuff.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
You ended the season with a different starting quarterback than you started again.
Well,
but that quarterback was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. So, man, so we'll hit the highlights, and then we will. I want to do a quick snapshot of our predictions from the beginning of the year, and then, folks, most of this podcast is going to be about the coaching search. It's going to be a cluster. But highlights: Brian Battie becomes the 6th 1,000-yard rusher in program history with 1186. I think he finishes with 8 touchdowns on the season. I think that's top 15 in program history. His 6.73 yards per carry is in a season is 4th all time behind Quentin Flowers and Marlon Mack, in pretty good company. The other 1,000-yard rushers in the program history: Quentin Flowers, Marlon Mack, Andre Hall, Brian Battie, Jordan Cronkite, and Dylan McMillan. I believe it was the 6th. So pretty heralded company.
And I think he's probably pretty high up there on all-purpose yards as well.
Yes.
I'd imagine he's near the top there. I think I might have seen somebody say he might have the record, but I haven't looked that up myself. So, pretty good year.
Pretty good year. And we discussed at the beginning of the season, maybe not all returning production is good production. That wasn't the case with the offensive line. I don't know where this offensive line is without Brad Cecil, Meach Harris playing on 1 foot. Donovan Jennings being where he was for most of the season until he got hurt. Trey Jacobs was just such a find by this coaching staff, and the development of him being able to flip to the left side and being very competent. We knew in fall camp they were switching back and forth depending on who the quarterback was during camp. So there's that. Daryl McMillan. I knew Dylan McMillan sounded way too rhymy.
That sounded very funny and silly.
Ooh, the Southeast Seminoles. Oh.
So
they had some dudes back in the mid to late 90s.
So I was really proud of the offensive line. Mike Lofton, Daryl Bailey, those guys who stepped in on the right side were very, very competent. Dustin Hall. It's such a fun offense to watch. Xavier Weaver, even though he sat out the last 2 games for reasons that are still a head scratcher to some people, finished with like 700 and something yards, didn't crack 1,000 yards,
718 in 9 games.
718 in 9 games. He missed the Louisville game as well. Missed half a game, I think, in the game prior. So there's the good. Byron Brown looked fantastic in his 2 starts. And that's we'll discuss the transfer portal. We'll go there and just kind of go downhill. Jimmy Horn in the portal. Seth, I think you mentioned like 3 weeks ago that even though Vincent Davis was a coach and medically retired, maybe he enters the portal and because he's going to try to get cleared by someone else, and he got cleared and is eligible to play for 1 more year. So he's going to enter the portal. Who else? Antonio Greer only played 3 games this year. He'll have an extra year. He's entering the portal. Daquan Evans is entering the portal. Holden Willis is entering the portal. I would, by all accounts, it seems like Xavier Weaver is also going to be entering the portal. I don't think he has officially, but you said the last 2 games to protect yourself. It seems like you are going to be entering the portal. So there's that.
Yeah, it certainly seemed that way. I think it's a little bit it's a little bit different if you play all 11, I think, or all 12. Like Horn played every game he was healthy, and then you enter the portal. I don't think, and I tweeted out as such, when you don't have a head coach and you're not sure who's going to get hired, it's a smart move if you have some value like a guy like Horn does to get in the portal, get options, and then see who gets hired. Because if you wait too long, spots fill up, right? So it's not and then the other part of it is if whoever the coach is that gets hired, and we'll talk about those shortly, whoever that is, Horn can come back out if it's somebody that fits with him and he's got a chance. So all these guys, we said it when Jeff Scott got fired, they could enter the portal, but we thought that they would wait because you have a 30-day window if your coach is fired. The 30-day window, the end of the season was inside that window. So we thought we would get a ton of guys in the portal after the season was over, and you're starting to see that. So this is not unexpected, and some of these guys will be gone, but some will be back too. And then always the portal works both ways. So
one question for you, just to piggyback off that, does waiting – so if everyone knew they're going to the portal, maybe it's all just getting the graphics and getting your paperwork in, but not doing it immediately after. Is there any possibility that some of these players maybe know or have an inkling, or is that all just procedural?
I don't know. I thought, and then I heard somebody, I can't remember who, somebody thought they'd kind of heard from coaches that maybe this was what was happening. That I think after the season, after Jeff Scott got fired, they went to the players and said, "Hey, finish the season, stay out of the portal. You can get in the portal as soon as the season's over, but let's finish out the season, and then you guys can jump in immediately after." I think that seems to be what's happening. I don't know. It would seem by what some of us have heard from parents that I would imagine that parents and players are getting a rundown of when a hire will be made, or at least kind of what the process is, so they do have that information, so they are armed with that information to get in the portal if they'd like to. So I think like Michael Kelly is communicating with parents and players about the process. So I don't know if they know who it's going to be, but they probably have a pretty good idea of when it's going to happen.
Yeah, and with that December 5th, self-imposed deadline-ish by Michael Kelly on the coaching hire. I mean, we're really winding down. We're less than a week away. With the conference championship games starting on Friday in the Pac-12 and then through Saturday and the weekend. I think we'll see a lot more movement. I really, honestly, do think Luke Fickell taking the Wisconsin job really threw a wrench into some plans and put a lot of things in a holding pattern just to see how everything else shook out. Liberty came open. So now you've got a pretty, they've got some deep pockets at Liberty University and they're not afraid to spend it. So now you've got that opening. It seems like Georgia Tech is they're going to go with Brent Key. Tulane's not going to. Yeah. Tulane, Willie Fritz is going to stay at Tulane. So those two are kind of off the board, but there's still some other openings. Did Colorado hire someone?
Unless it happened while we were on, I don't think so. Not yet.
So they're still open. UNLV, honestly, surprisingly came open,
and that'll be another one that I think that'll be another one that's kind of a G5 that's coveted. You're going a little robot here, Nathan.
Marcus Arroyo didn't have a bad year either. That was a surprise.
Yeah. I think, Nate, you might want to jump out and come back in. I think that at UNLV, they want to be a big player. The recruiting was kind of going down. I think they've got some guys that have some money. So they may kind of want to make a splash. There's some names that have been thrown out with that job that are pretty interesting. So I think they're going to be kind of wanting to make a big move there.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's a interesting dynamic, but like I said, I think that Cincinnati thing really screwed up a lot of plans for Michael Kelly and the bunch. Bro, I don't know what to tell you, man. I am hardwired in. I don't know what's going on. But we'll figure it out as always. The season slogged along, so my internet slowed down. I don't know. Maybe there's too many things on the Wi-Fi, and so it's draining it. I don't know. Anywho's let's just get to the thing that everybody cares about. You know what? We'll talk about the season previews later, but I mean it's at the top of everybody's mind. Jamie Chadwell, Deion Sanders seems to be the top two for this job. Allegedly, and I use this term very loosely because this guy keeps doing it to y'all. Allegedly, Deion was on campus today on a Tuesday when there's I think they have the SWAC championship game is this weekend.
Yeah, they play Saturday. Seems unlikely to me. I don't know. That's just.
I'll mention I was also on campus today, and I did not see Deion.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Myth busted.
So it seems like I was all full of crap. But hey, what do I know? Bob Stoops has done a really good job at Florida State.
You got to give Bob Stoops credit for the job he's done since becoming the head coach in 2019.
He's been fantastic. And, I mean, it's John Gruden's job if he wants it. He is 1A. The boosters are behind him.
He's interested. It's not his job. He's just interested, Nate.
He's just interested. You're right.
He's just interested, and he's got some big boosters behind him. He's not. He's not. He didn't say he was a front runner. He just says
there's legitimate smoke behind it. There was legitimate smoke behind it. Okay,
that's true.
And I'll die on this hill that there was legitimate smoke behind it. If you guys could, you could see the eyes rolling in the back of my head. It's unreal. That this keeps happening. It's these random. Gosh, it's gonna be so inside baseball. It's not even funny. It's the random people who are on the fringe of actually covering stuff. I just start spouting things off because they know someone who knows someone.
And there's also like an element of if you're just trying to create, you need content. Well, if I put out that this deal is 90% done and then it doesn't happen, well, now I get to talk how USF blew it. They had it wrapped up. They blew it. And now I got something else to talk about afterwards. So it's kind of a win-win.
Classic radio. Also, that 10% could be, the person signing the paperwork. Hey, we built the contract. It's 90% done in DocuSign.
Yeah.
But that, important little bit.
Yeah. So I some of these I think are you built some of these up, so you're good either way. If you nail it, you're first one there. Awesome, you're the man. If it's wrong, well, they screwed it up. They had it and they screwed it up. So let me talk about how they screwed it up. It wasn't me just going out half cocked and not really knowing what's happening. It was their fault.
Real big Ferris Bueller vibes of my best friend's sister's boyfriend heard from a guy from a girl who saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night. It must be pretty serious.
Like John Gruden's courtside at the men's basketball games. What else is he there for?
I mean, it just really frustrates me to no end because the fans, you guys are absolutely excited. You want some news and you jump all over it because, hey man, this is going to happen. It's this guy, this person's tweeting it out, and maybe he has a blue check mark, maybe he paid for it, maybe it was legitimate. It's really honestly why we've kind of gotten out of the rumors game. I was texting with someone, I was DMing with someone last night who does multiple. He's involved in sussing out multiple coaching searches nationally. I'm like, I'm so over one. I don't understand how you can do multiple. And he's like, I'll sleep in January, maybe. I don't know. I can't do it. It's not fun. It's really not fun just because nobody knows anything. And Michael Kelly's done a very good job of making sure that nobody knows anything unless they are absolutely inside the inner circle. And those people are tough nuts to crack. I promise you that. And I'll say it again. When I was the one that put out that tweet about JP Peterson today, saying you guys are really going to trust this guy. I can almost guarantee Brett McMurphy is going to be the one that breaks the news on the hire. I can just tell you that with certainty.
Every time.
If it's not him, something went askew because his guy didn't tell him in enough time.
Yeah, and where I've seen this a couple of times. So they've somewhat created a perfect storm here, or the internet has created a perfect storm, and that you started hearing rumors of a Monday meeting. Monday meeting didn't happen, so everyone's on edge thinking it could happen. Then you get the tweet about who's
oh my gosh,
who's ready to
beautiful tweet.
Yeah, who's ready to who's ready to find out who the USF head coach is or whatever the tweet was, which I mean
hashtag horns up, baby,
is like, from what we've heard, it's supposed to be followed up with "so are we" or something to that effect, but the follow up never happened, so it made it even worse. So you get that coupled with there's a Monday 8:00 announcement on Monday morning, and then this tweet comes out today, and then people start to, because there's not really much getting out, like you said, people start to kind of put the puzzle together themselves, and it can lead to I think if it's not one of these top 2 guys that everyone's been talking about, it's gonna land with a thud, right? Like it would have to be somebody way out of left field that nobody's really even mentioned that would have to come in here. If you don't get one of these guys, you set yourself up for whoever you get to just, go over like a fart in church. It's just not gonna end well.
Yeah, it really isn't, and it's kind of put Michael Kelly in kind of a awkward position, right? Because he really can't say anything because if your top 2 candidates are sitting head coaches, so he can't say one way or the other. Yeah, it's these guys. We've heard there are some other guys, right? That one's currently coaching and a couple are not coaching presently. So it's a little bit easier to kind of maneuver around those guys. I just, at this point, just wait until the official press release and don't get yourself worked up over anything. It's going to save yourself so much time and heartache. And like Seth, I know you love a good coaching search, but man, this is draining. This is draining, man.
I love a good wide coaching search. It's a lot more narrowed down now, and that's not as fun because then you're just waiting for something to happen. Like the last week was a lot of fun when you started hearing it could be this guy, and I'm like, oh, now we're getting down, and it still hasn't happened. You're kind of like, all right, well, what's happening here?
Well, you start thinking, ooh, schematically, how does this work? How is this going to happen? Oh, look at this guy. That'll be fun. Now it's, but yeah, who knows? It's if you have to wait till after those games, that's a long time. It is Tuesday.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long week, and it's the first week back after Thanksgiving. Everybody's kind of dragging ass at work, and you're like, I don't want to be here. I want to be sitting on the couch doing literally anything else. And it gets it. And then Eric, I know you're saying when the school trolls the fans, it's definitely going to get us to bite on rumors. And man, that is a story I'll tell eventually. But that tweet is quite possibly the funniest thing that's ever happened at USF. And there's been a lot of funny things happen at USF behind the scenes that's art. It was art. And the fact that they just had to leave it up there because the backlash to taking it down would have been so much worse than what they got even tweeting it out in the first place. And
the engagement was great, though. I mean, there's a lot of engagement on that post.
The ratio.
Hashtag engagement. I mean, they had 300 retweets, and I think like 270 of them were quote retweets going, what are you doing? Who is it? Just tell us. Stop doing this.
A lot of quote tweets.
Oh my goodness. It was truly remarkable.
I kept thinking of that Parks and Rec meme where it's like, this is so beautiful. I've been staring at it for 5 hours. Just every time I look back at it and the numbers went up, I was like, this is just even better. Like just noticing the horns up with the emoji. I don't know. The whole thing is just, I love it.
Gosh, that's that just straight up artwork. And Seth, we discussed both of their offenses on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We did a film room breakdown. It seems by all accounts, Jamie Chadwell, he wants to bring his entire staff down if he goes anywhere, which would theoretically include Willie Korn.
The Korn man. Yeah, we're trying to get him. He was on our offensive coordinator hot board
last year.
It's really more like a dream board or something like. It's not really there's no real information on it. It's just what I would like to see on some of it or what we would like to see. So he was number 1 last year. So hey, we're just a little early on that one. Possibly.
Did you have Jamie Chadwell on your dream board this year too?
He was number 1. He was number 1. Number 2 was Deion Sanders. Yep. Come on.
Yep.
I mean, yep. Pay and pray, baby. That was the title of that part of our hot board.
That's right.
Eric, it's shocking. It's shocking that we are right more often than we're not. I'll be perfectly honest. It surprises me. And kind of get sort of back to the season, I guess, the 1-11. Like, I got the amount of crap I got in August for saying this. There's a legit chance this team is 1-6 or 1-7 before the bye week, whatever it happened to be, and that's exactly what they were. I promise you, I hate being right about that. Like, it's so frustrating, but you kind of know it early on, and this, God, that's true. That's true, Tim. You can't hold anything back now. It was so frustrating. Every single one. And I guess I want to do. I do want to go over our season predictions, and we'll kind of get back to the coaching search. Mostly because I was probably the most right, and well, I just like patting myself on the back because it's
yeah.
It's
I'll
fun.
learn. I'll learn eventually. I always lean to the positive end of my spectrum in the preseason
You really
stuff
do.
every year. I'll go negative one year, but I think I said last year it's that meme of Goofy with the face. I'll do it again. That's gonna be me again next year. I'm gonna be really positive in the preseason.
I think I literally put "Don't drink the Kool-Aid, don't drink the Kool-Aid" and put like 5 and 7, 6 and 6, and did it.
Yep.
Listen, if maybe we should have known, but it certainly seemed like the defense wasn't going to be dead last in the country, right? So
top 40 offense.
We said the offense would be good.
That is hard. How do you that's hard?
We were half right. We thought the offense would be good, and they were very good. The defense was just
so bad. It was literally worse than last year, and we said just be bad and not horrific, and you win 5 games. And they're like, hold my beer. Jeez. So Steve picked 6 and 6. Vito, you picked 6 and 6. Seth, you picked 5 and 7.
I did. I was going over the 4.5.
You said Howard and Temple are locks in my mind. Well, one of them for sure.
Well, that's why you got fired. Yeah, that's why you got fired, because it was a lock, and you blew it somehow.
And you could also beat ECU. They were down 41-7 at halftime. Tulane.
ECU, but was ECU good? Was ECU really good this year?
I think they were better than expected.
Didn't Houston beat like 42-0?
Yeah, but they also beat.
I think if you're, to me, like when I was looking at the preseason stuff, I'm like, okay, if I'm expecting Jeff Scott to stay here long term and be retained, these are games he should be winning.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of hurricane in there too, but I mean, I'm not gonna use that as an excuse, but ECU was legitimately good, and I think Houston kind of.
I just don't like if it's your third year at USF and you have access to this kind of talent, you shouldn't be losing to ECU in your third year, especially not getting blown out. That was kind of the first kind of one of the final nails in the coffin there.
Yeah, they started nailing the coffin shut there. Nick went 5 and 7, 6 and 6. And because I love to pat myself on the back, I said the Bulls have to win at least 4 games in 2022. Anything less, and that seat under Scott's bum is getting toasty. Well, folks, it was a little bit less than 4. 5 wins is semi-realistic if you squint your eyes and tilt your head just so. 6 wins is a pipe dream. Yes. Yeah. So
don't let Nathan fool you. He picked over on my show. Okay,
I did.
So
I did pick over.
He was teetering. He was teetering on the edge of being very positive, but he made the right decision.
They can't keep getting away with it. They can't keep getting away with it.
The defense, very, very, very poor.
Very, very poor. Let's see what other questions. Oh, would any receiver hit 1,000 yards? Absolutely not. Defensive line. Will they be better? No.
Technically, they had more sacks, right? Like statistically. Never mind.
They weren't worse.
Well, I mean, I guess if the bar's the floor and you just stay on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, they might have been marginally better, but the other position groups got worse. Possibly, I don't know. They did have more. They did create a little more havoc this year, but you still got ran through pretty easily.
Yeah, there was like 4 defensive linemen for sure left, right? Rashawn Yates played, Eddie Kelly, Jonathan Ross, I think. I don't know if Tremo Logan played.
He played.
Nick
He
Bags was
played.
there.
Oh God.
Was it Jabril Glaze?
Yeah, he definitely is a player who joined the roster at some point during the season, and I don't think he ever stepped foot on the field. So there's that. Jatorian Hansford. So there's that. He was a nice little addition. I'll give credit where it's due, but he's also gone this year.
And this may have been before we found out that you were going to be down a couple of guys. We may have known, but you also got down a couple of guys you thought were going to be on the team there when we answered those questions. So that's another factor there.
That is. Well, I mean, James Ash never got in school.
I think Pender was still technically on the roster at that point.
Correct. So that was tough. But looking forward, because of the fluidity of the portal, what will Dion or Jamie Chadwell inherit? Like what are we really looking at?
Well, I think both of them could bring some of their own players with them, so that would be helpful. I believe Dion. So the interesting thing with Dion, I believe, and this may be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure I saw it. Now it's on his Twitter, so it could be, but I think they had the offensive player of the year in the SWAC. He was the coach of the year in the SWAC. They had the defensive player of the year in the SWAC, which I believe was a linebacker. And they had the freshman of the year in the SWAC, which was a receiver. I would think all those guys may come with them. So, and that doesn't include Travis Hunter, who if you got him to come with you, now you're talking like you can make a pretty quick improvement because you have one of the best corners in the country, possibly, that can just lock down one side of the field for you. So that could change some things, right? If teams can't just bomb the ball over the top of your head constantly, that would probably help the defense a little bit. So I think I've also heard that Coastal's got a really good nose tackle or a really good interior defensive lineman that's young that might be looking to move this offseason. So maybe he wants to join Chadwell if Chadwell gets the job here, but he might be going P5 as well. But both those guys have some talented dudes they could bring with them, so you might get some of that.
Yeah, the thing with the guys over at Jackson State, like Travis Hunter, right? Some of those top guys who decide to go to the HBCU, partly because of Dion and partly because they want to, rightly so, get more prominence for HBCUs. If Dion's gone, Hunter could play literally anywhere in the country. So him following
Florida State,
but he could have done that out of high school too. I mean, I don't know if it was the draw of the HBCU or if it was the draw of Dion. Right? I guess you'll find out.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of both. And if Dion's not at the HBCU, maybe he goes and plays at a bigger school, which you can't fault him for it. I mean,
maybe.
I know,
but
Jackson State's I know Dion's like put like a lot of money toward the locker room. There's still a lot of stuff that's not there. If your coach is gone, why stay at somewhere where there isn't as many resources? And I'm worried about what Jackson State's going to look like after Dion leaves.
They'll look like what they looked like before, but maybe a little bit more investment. Just I would imagine, right? I mean, it depends on I guess it depends on who they hire, but there's all kinds of different hurdles and things like that at that level, and that where they're at in terms of just all the off the field stuff, in terms of like administration, support staff, that kind of stuff. So who knows? But Yeah, I don't. It would seem that if you wanted to leave, going to a place where you know the coach, I would imagine these guys feel some type of pull towards Dion. You might not get all of them. They might just, they might move. There's also talk that maybe his son, like his son's his quarterback. Maybe there's some talk of him maybe going to a P5 for a year, just to kind of get out and go somewhere different, not be with his dad for a year, and then take a shot at the NFL if he does well. So.
Yeah, I agree. Schrader Sanders, I think he threw for 3,200 yards this year, 32 touchdowns, like 4 interceptions. Like he lit it up, and definitely a guy
and the offensive player of the year in the SWAC.
Definitely a guy who could play up a few rungs for sure.
He was a 4-star recruit, I believe, at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, talk about domino effect. What do you think FAU looks like if Schrader stays at FAU?
Yeah, it probably would have been helpful.
I mean, because right. Their quarterbacks were, I mean, God bless N'Kosi Perry and his 18 years of eligibility, but I mean, Schrader is a legitimately good quarterback who probably keeps Willie's job. So that's a fun little domino effect and butterfly effect for sure.
Yeah, so we'll see. It would be quite. Dion would. It would be really interesting. I know for us, Dion would be the best hire for sure. In terms of excitement, in terms of people getting back engaged with the program, I think that would do it. In terms of maybe safest hire, I think Chadwell's probably a little safer just because he's got an extended history as a head coach at a bunch of different levels.
Mm-hmm.
But man, Dion, the promise and the hope of Dion is very alluring, and so. Yep. I think with these top 2 guys, you're just hoping that the administration kind of sees, the promise with either one of how and makes the investment that they'll reap on the back end. Because I think if they hire either one of these 2 guys, it's one of the best hires of the coaching cycle for anybody. And if you don't, and now it's a big disappointment. So hopefully they're opening up the checkbooks, making those investments, because I think they'll reap the rewards when they kind of, sell out the on-campus stadium constantly. When that thing opens up, that thing will be packed to the gills, right?
Yep. And, according to reports, Dion needs the stadium built expeditiously. So, I mean, he needs it done ASAP. So, if you guys know some of the builders from like Roller Coaster, they're going to need you to get on this.
Yeah, all hands on deck. Everybody grab a cement mixer. Get out there. Let's get this thing done quickly, right?
I mean, jeez Louise.
Let's not mince words. I was going to say both of these guys from top to bottom, absolute home runs. Like, we didn't think that this was even remotely available, and now you're saying these might be your 2 finalists.
Yeah, if that's the case, that would be monster job done by Michael Kelly. If you get one of these 2 guys, or these were your 2 you're down to, great process, great result, I would imagine.
Yes, and I mean, going back to when Michael Kelly got hired, we did a podcast inside like Colin's old jobs, like podcast studio, and he said Michael Kelly was the reach candidate. And now if Michael Kelly can pull his own reach candidate of his own out of this monstrosity of a program, that'd be pretty impressive. I think either one of these coaches, you're not winning right away, and you've got to give them time to kind of – the culture's better. There's infrastructure there, but it's still a 1-11 football roster.
Yeah, I think, the keys, right, keep as many guys on the offense as you can, add to them, supplement that with transfers and signees, but try to keep that core of those offensive guys, and then – just open the floodgates on defense, bring in whatever you can and figure it out. Because if you can improve that side of the ball, a decent amount, you can win some games next year with how the schedule shakes out compared to this. That's the other part that's, we talked about it a ton, and that's what your 1-6 comment. They had a really tough beginning of the schedule. So if you can figure out the defense a little bit, keep the offense humming, you could come out and have a pretty decent year. Not a crazy year, probably not going to win 9 games or anything, but you could, maybe, you could probably at least triple your wins.
It's also something to be said about getting wins and getting
wins
culture
plural.
there to win, and then all of a sudden, maybe that leads into not losing when you're up, in the final 2 minutes of these games. Alabama notwithstanding, obviously.
Yeah, that's an automatic dub. That in my preview next year, that's going to be one of my for sure wins. That's a lock.
Much like Howard and Temple.
Just much like Temple, it'll be a lock.
Joseph C. asks question: what are the top 3 things that went wrong this season?
I think injuries are important. I think injuries injuries were a big deal. It's just that the 2 seasons, injuries were legitimate. It was legitimate. It's not excuse, but a legitimate reason for some of your struggles. But the problem was you'd already used up all your goodwill in the first 2 years by not winning very many games. So nobody wanted to hear it, but that was a legitimate excuse. I think injuries for sure. I mean, but you look at one side of the ball, they had injuries too, and they kept on going and kept on improving. The other side of the ball, when they got injuries, they just got worse and never could get it quite on track. So, I don't know. Did you whiff on your defensive coordinator hire, or did you whiff on your defensive player evaluations in the portal the previous 2 years?
Or scheme. I guess that would be coordinator. But
yeah, did you whiff there?
You swapped your scheme and you didn't have the personnel. And when you tried to bring it in, you didn't get everybody in when you needed it. That matters. But again, year 3, it's hard to add that to the list.
Well, you're not wrong there.
If they would have just held him out,
Yeah. And then he got hurt.
They might. If they could do it over, they might hold him out. And now it's totally different.
Yeah, I mean, he got hurt after 3 jet sweeps and 2 touchdowns. I mean,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so bad.
That was a rough start.
First play. Oh my goodness.
Good Lord. Yeah, I think injuries, probably some combination of the defense being bad and Bob Shoop. And then the third thing, Jeff Scott not knowing how to coach in a close game is probably
inability to close
up there.
There's been was a 3-year issue.
Also known as lemon booty.
Yes. Patent pending, Nathan Bond. Actually, Bomani Jones, but I've really, really leaned into it. But Mike Norvell, Mike Norvell, how about it? He's that Black Friday game was definitely something he should have in years past would have absolutely been lemon bootied his way out of a win, but he was able to overcome
Jordan Travis wouldn't let him.
He tried his damnedest, that's for sure. And Diet Lemon Booty, I would assume Ryan Silverfield, who's still somehow at Memphis, will be the new Lemon Booty coach in the American.
There you go. It's a beautiful tradition.
It really is. There's always one. I mean, shit, Gus tried to give it away on Saturday too.
Oh, you could hear the puckering.
Man, it got tight. It got real tight in that third quarter.
You could hear the pucker.
Dwayne Boyle's literally, I don't know what he did, but I like 3. I don't know. The fumbles were just oh my goodness. He played like a man. He really wanted it.
I thought some UCF players were going to implode in upon themselves. The pucker was so immense that I thought they would just disappear, like
black holes.
Harry Potter when they apparate or whatever it is. I thought it was gonna be like that. They're just the pucker so hard.
They're gonna get splinched.
It went from a guy behind me saying at near the end, be like, "Fire Gus, he's the worst coach ever," to after we win, "Hey, we're going to the conference championship." Like, yes,
The
alas.
duality of a man.
Any who's it's I saw a couple of people kind of ask, are there any other options outside of Dion and Jamie Chadwell? Yeah, I think there are. How do we want to address this?
I mean, what are they looking? What do you think they're looking for? It seems like they're looking for, based on Dion, based on Chadwell, it would seem like they're looking for guys with head coaching experience. And Chadwell, I think you mentioned on Twitter, Chadwell's got like 22 guys from Florida on his roster.
Correct.
So you've got guys with Florida tie. Obviously, Dion has ties to Florida. So guys with head coaching experience, guys with ties to Florida. There's some that have one or the other. Like Alex Atkins has one. He doesn't have head coaching experience. He's got ties to Florida. And then do you want a guy from the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball? So that's kind of
right.
If you want to fix the defense, there are guys out there that have head coaching experience that have ties to Florida that coach defense.
Yep. That has a winning record as a head coach, but still got fired.
Yes.
Actually, I think two of the options. Well, I guess one has a winning record in a different state. The other one has a winning record in the state of Florida, but both were fired by their coaches, or by their programs, I should say. Marquell Blackwell. So I heard the name on Saturday. And if I'm not mistaken, Will Turner from Bulls 24/7 has him on his hot board. I don't think he's an option, as Army Mech says. He would Army Mech. Excuse me. He was demoted from OC in 2017, 2018 by Dan Holgerson and relegated to running backs coach, and now he's the running backs coach at Ole Miss. Do we really want the Charlie Weiss stink back?
Yeah.
I just don't think he's quite ready.
That's an interesting name, Eric. Should we put that one up there?
Yeah, throw it up there.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
He would fit some of the parameters, right?
Yeah. I don't think he's allowed in South Florida anymore, so that's gonna be a tough sell.
Yeah, that's the guy you keep tricking on to recruit South Florida, so you don't have to go down there. You don't
exactly. That was gonna be my next. If it is Manny, who's the DC at Penn State right now, right?
And they finished top. They were number 11 in SP Plus defense. They were really good on defense. Mm-hmm. So he's
in the Big Ten.
He's said to be a candidate for FAU. But like you said, I don't know if he wants to go all the way down there. So maybe he could be a dark horse.
Yeah,
if you want a defensive guy,
and then as we've kind of talked about, like, do we want to keep the offense intact? Yeah. I mean, Travis Trickett, it seems like he's really connected with the players. I think you either if it's Gary or Byron Brown, you've got a good option at quarterback. And I've kind of lived by this all season long. Whoever has the better quarterback tends to win, especially at the college level. It helps when you have a competent quarterback. I mean, we've seen it for 10 years outside of the 3 Quentin Flowers years. If you don't have a good quarterback, you can't win in this day and age. It's way too hard to hide that blemish.
Yeah, you have to be superior almost everywhere else on offense. And That's just not gonna. I don't think it's gonna happen at this level to where you're just gonna I mean, it can where you're just, but typically you need that guy there to kind of cover up any other deficiencies. So, and I think they've got 2 pretty good ones coming back. I mean, as of now.
So, and Kyle Barron asking, ignoring the candidates, do you guys prefer an offensive, defensive person for USF? And I think it's a pretty interesting question, multi layers, right? Like, so obviously Dion, even though he's a Hall of Fame cornerback, I think everybody thinks Dion. They think the offense, right? Because they're an air raid attack. Jamie Chadwell has a really fun triple option through shotgun, but it's more passing.
Yeah, it's like a hybrid.
It's a hybrid,
interesting hybrid offense.
It's the fun triple, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to replace a good offense with another good offense, or do you want to find someone who can fix the defense? I mean, the defense isn't going to be a one-year fix regardless of who it is. But if you pick someone like Manny Diaz or some of the other defensive guys who are kind of bandied about, now you kind of open it up. Now you get like 2 really exciting hires, right? Regardless of who the head coach is. So now you've got a guy who could fix the defense, and then now the world opens into, okay, so what's the offense going to look like? Yeah. And that's where you can keep Travis Trickett or find someone else, bring someone else in.
What I found interesting about Manny Diaz is that after his first season, I believe, where he was kind of a lot more traditional, I think it was Dan Enos was his coordinator, I believe. Came from Alabama, was Tua's coordinator. Didn't have Tua at Miami, so it got a little tougher. But I believe that was the coordinator his first year, a lot more pro style. And then he went out and got Rhett Lashley. And Lashley's the head coach at SMU. We all know what SMU does offensively. Really quick tempo, throwing the ball a ton, but also has a nice run game. So I always thought that was interesting that he kind of, because you see so many of these defensive guys not go out and get that really good offensive system because they're afraid that tempo and that kind of stuff will hurt their defense. But I think the guys that recognize that they need a really good offense as well do really well. So that was one thing I really liked about Manny when he was at Miami, is going out and get Lashley, and that helped his offense a ton. My worry with him is his defense got a little worse in the years as he was a head coach. I don't know if that's tied to having to play more plays, but
Lashley, they also have Derek King too, which is a nice quarterback to have.
Yeah. Even if you go get a Manny Diaz, do you think it would be viewed as a disappointment? Because, it's, as we mentioned, man, you're really setting yourself up for failure if it's not Dion or Jamie Chadwell, which is unfortunate. I think some of the other options, I wouldn't go that far about
Chadwell's not a disappointment.
Chadwell's not a disappointment at all.
Chadwell's got a better coaching record than Dion does. He just doesn't have the name of Dion, but Chadwell's really well
who has a mullet.
Coach. Yes. I mean, Chadwell was you don't know why he's consistently seemingly, it seems like maybe it's because he wants to bring his entire staff with him. He's been like runner up for a lot of P5 jobs last 3 years. He was I know Tennessee, he was kind of in that Tennessee search when they went with Heupel. Georgia Tech allegedly wanted him, and one rumor was that he wants to bring his whole staff with him. So some of these Power 5 schools were like, recruiting is super important. And you need you feel like you need guys that have recruited in these conferences before. Like SEC recruiting is very important. If you don't have guys that have recruited in the SEC before, you get what happened to Auburn under Harston, where he brought a bunch of Boise State guys with him, and they recruited terribly. So I think Chadwell wanting to bring those guys is maybe the only reason he's not at a P5 right now. So he's I think he's a pretty good coach, and either one of these guys would be just monster home runs.
Yeah, and to get back to Bob's kind of point, I think so, right? Because it's the hype. I mean, these are the 2 sought after names, and if you land one of them, oh my gosh, wow! USF recruiting queue. I saw Chris Torello tweet out a clip from, I think it was the Rich Eisen show, about Bruce Feldman talking about USF football on a national syndicated show. Like that happens because of Dion, right? Jamie Chadwell definitely doesn't move the needle like that, except for college football nerds. Like the college football nerds are going to be all over it. They're going to say it's a good option, it's a good hire, but I mean, it's Dion freaking Sanders. Like you can't. So if you go from Dion or Chadwell to Manny Diaz or Tom Herman, Willie Simmons, whomever, it's going to be felt like a loss and a disappointment. And then you're setting your guy up for failure from jump, and he hasn't even stepped foot on campus, unless you're Dion and you were there today.
Yeah. No, that is true. And this is, I think you're right. That like Dion does bring a level of excitement, like Nathan said, that nobody else can match, right? But I think Chadwell, I think Nate just kind of said it. People that follow the sport and cover the sport will say it was a great hire. Average Joe on the street that kind of just watches their games may not be super into it. But Dion, you get the guys. I think with Dion, you'll get kind of everybody talking about it, obviously, right? So I think there is probably going to be levels of it where Dion, but I think there's a big enough group of fans now that have started to learn about Chadwell, because his name's been coming about for a little bit now. They would be excited, but probably not as excited as Dion. And then there's just a chasm, I think, if it's not one of those two.
Yep.
Chadwell's defenses, real quick, Kyle. His defense this year is bad. He graduated a bunch of guys, but his previous two were pretty good. If you look at SP Plus and things like that, they were like 30th or maybe 40th, and then top 20 or top 25 in 2020. So, they've been good in the past. They're just they're not very good this year because they graduated a bunch of guys and are playing a bunch of young guys. So that will be something that I think gives people pause when they first go look. But it's still, I think they're really bad in yards per play, and they're still like a yard and a half better than USF was on defense.
Yeah. So I mean, I think they're like around the 90th ranked defense SP plus wise. That gets USF 5 wins.
Yeah, I think they're 88th.
Yeah. That's a 5-win season for Jeff Scott, and he still has his job if the defense is 88th. So there's some trade-off there. The offense is still pretty good. And I mean, the big question mark, right? You're losing Cincinnati, you're losing Central Florida, you're losing Houston. Outside of maybe UTSA coming in next year, there really isn't, as well as Tulane. They're in the conference title game. They're going to be exciting to watch. There isn't the influx of talented programs that just off, like Charlotte fired their head coach. They got the dude from Michigan who kind of turned that program around for them. So there really isn't much excitement. So if you can just stop some of the worst teams better than you did this year, keep the offenses flowing as much as possible, given whoever's going to be there. And that's such the biggest question mark is, all right, so is Brian Battie going to stay? Jimmy Horn's seemingly out the door. Xavier Weaver seemingly out the door. Joffrey Brown got hurt and didn't finish the season. Joe Jones was hurt. Does he stay? He came to Tampa because he had the connection with Jeff Scott. On and on and on. Yusuf Terry was kind of a bust. So now you're kind of going back to the starting line with your skill position players. So it's going to be a tough one. And Joseph C., imagine that tweet and then announcing Tom Herman. Yeah, it's why it makes that tweet so much funnier, because they tweet that the person who tweeted that out literally no inkling, no idea what's going on with this coaching search. So they're just like, well, it was a funny bit. It was a funny bit, and come on down, Sterling Gilbert, you're the new head coach. Like it.
Oh, buddy.
That's what when I first read it, I was like, well, what's next? They're going to be like, hey, we're going to announce our coach in prime time tonight. And then you get to 8 o'clock. All right, hey, we're hiring Jason Candle.
Wouldn't that be great, though?
Oh, my God. Yeah. I think I'd quit. I would quit. I'd quit. I would quit covering USF if that was the hire.
I'm not
Straight
a big no Jason Candle, please.
You can't have that much recruiting talent, recruiting edge, and go 7-5 every single year in the MAC.
Yeah, lost 7 games the last 2 years where he's been a touchdown or more favorite.
It's just not good.
Much like my internet.
If Scott's Tots was a tweet, yes.
Oh man.
Oh man.
I did get ready for the Larry Scott. If just in case, if there was a Larry Scott of the eventuality, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for Scott's Tots 2.0.
Also had a losing record and lost to Jeff Scott. So there's that's a pox on his house at this point.
Well, just in case, I just want you guys to know that we're ready. We're ready for if it comes down to Scott's Tots again, we've got it. We've got it ready.
Incredible. Outstanding.
I don't think it's going to happen.
No. I don't think so either. But I mean, unless something's happened in the last hour, I think there's really not much to kind of discuss. The Dion thing today was crap. Just trust me on that. It was crap. It was absolute crap. Do not unretweet it if you've retweeted it.
Is it, Nathan? Is it possible that was all incorrect and it still could be Dion late down the line? Is that possible, or are you saying it's kind of?
Oh no, it's distinctly possible. I just think that
the on-campus thing was
he just doesn't know what he's talking about. So there's also that.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. That video he made has already been deleted. Did he make a video about it? Hold up. Like Joseph, you got to answer this.
Yeah, chat.
JP Peterson made a video about the Dion thing. No.
Oh, did somebody take a screenshot?
Oh my God. Oh man. Oh, please tell me someone got a video of that. Did anyone get video of that?
Maybe someone got 90% of the video.
Yeah, well, 10% could have been wrong. That it's still fluid.
Oh man!
But he was definitely on campus.
He basically read his tweets. Oh no! This is my radio, guys.
Oh man! Oh, you know what? That makes my heart warm and fuzzy.
And that was on Twitter, and he's already deleted it. That might give you an indication on.
Yeah, that might give you a real indication that.
Maybe, just maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Ricky, would it put up a $10 bounty? I mean, yeah, I'll do it. Screw it. If you can find it, I will absolutely Venmo you $10. I mean, now Ricky's asking, "Hey guys, any thoughts on this?" And what's the thought, buddy?
Yeah, we can't see. I don't know what, Ricky.
We're waiting with bated breath.
Very excited, actually.
Did he? I don't. Okay. Well,
I tweeted something about Growthy liking a bunch of Dion's tweets.
Okay.
I'm sure. I mean, it's again, Dion's still definitely on the table. It's just that the person tweeting all this stuff doesn't know what he's talking about. So there's those two things. Both things could be absolutely true at the same time, right? Where Dion is still he could absolutely be hired, but also at the same time, this person did not know a lick of what he was saying and got played by someone's camp. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm saying that's what happened.
Okay, but the Tom Brady angle, that's an angle. That's interesting. Didn't think about that one.
That Brady signed his kid to his.
Not even that specifically, but Tom Brady being here. I don't know.
Nah, I mean, no, I don't think that matters much. It's a cool thing, but whatever. With that, let's get out of here. It is 10:18. I've got work tomorrow. You guys have work tomorrow. You all have work tomorrow. And our job is going to be scrolling Twitter to see.
Two more things, real quick. UAB might hire Trent Dofer.
What?
He's coaching a high school team that I think is halfway decent.
Yeah,
California, right?
But they could have went Tyson Helton. They're gonna go Trent Dilfer. You know what?
Could be. And then Matt Grothe also liked a Daniel DePrado tweet this today. So
you never know.
Take the tag off, right?
Three straight run. Never mind.
You think that was his call? I think that was his call.
You think so?
I think that was his call as the head coach. He said, "Let's just run it."
I'm not positive,
but yeah, I think that might have been his call.
We should film room that just to see if those are options because I can
They
buy.
were all. I know the first two were read options, and one of them he should have pulled. And Byron Brown, you can see him like hit his hands together after because he knows he should have pulled it.
I could see we need to kill the clock, do whatever to kill the clock, but just 3 straight runs up the middle. I don't know.
Yeah,
to call it like that.
But then you also have the flip side. I mean, the very next day, the Bucks are with the lead with like 3 minutes left, and they throw the ball on second and third down and stop the clock, and Cleveland goes down and scores. Then they win in overtime, and you lose your right tackle. So it all comes out in the wash, I guess.
Bucks defense, USF defense.
Yeah, I mean both. I mean, I don't know. If Dion or not, I mean, I vote Seth for head coach too. It'd be incredible. The amount of
great access.
The amount of scoops the Daily Stampede would end up having would be remarkable. I mean, it'd be blatant and obvious.
That's right.
And we'd probably be banned from covering the team. But the amount of scoops that we would have,
he would hire us. We would be hired.
Content side. I might go get a Verpeo out of to come coach the defense. You know, work my connections there. You know, that'd be probably a good one. That seems like that might have been helpful last time around. You know, I take a reduced salary so I can get some good assistance. You know.
Yeah, I'll take a measly $1 million.
Yeah, that's all I need right there.
That's it.
I did. I coached at Palmetto for a little while back in the day, and then all over after that. So yeah, I coached in Manatee County for a little bit. There we go. We're ready. Yeah, there you go. Keep Trickett. Let him do his thing. Trickett, do your thing, buddy. Yeah, we're ready.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Got sent the picture. No one. Oh wait, hold up. Let me see if this works.
No, and that's been taken down.
Yeah, we will have not more on this. Well, you know what? Maybe still on the truth. We will not have more on this. We will not have more on this tomorrow because, well, it was maybe made up.
Yeah, I coached 2010 to 2012 and then 2015 or 2014, 2015 at Palmetto. Yeah. We made the regional final. And if we had the new system where we don't have to play Miami schools, we would have won the state championship, but I'm not bitter.
It's your trophy.
I just hate Duke Johnson till this day.
Oh, geez.
No. Oh yeah, I'd give Jerry Odom a call. I think he's pretty happy though. He's got like a nice farm up there in Tusculum. He almost beat the school or tie the school record for wins in a season this year. So I think he's
bring him on
good.
as like your chief of staff. He's a bit chaotic as a defensive guy too, right?
Oh, he's an awesome defensive coordinator. Really, really good.
I mean, pair him up with Danny Verpel, bro. I seen both of those guys talk at the coaches clinic that we went to. Like, they're a match made in heaven. That'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a dynamic defense right there.
Yeah. Tommy Frazier was before my time. I was not in high school until I graduated in 2005. So heard about Tommy Frazier. Didn't get a chance to watch him, but he was pretty good.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for everybody. It seems like there was a bunch of people tuning in tonight. I appreciate you guys tuning in, listening, consuming the podcast, the film room, the content that we provide. Hopefully it's been informative and not just a bunch of dudes hanging out, which it is, but hopefully you've learned at least one thing over the course of these 13 weeks or however long it's been.
Yeah.
That's pretty safe, right? That's a safe assumption. At minimum, one person learned one thing in 13 weeks.
We had some good film rooms.
Yeah.
Had some good film rooms. Had skipped some, so that was nice too.
So true. My internet.
Eric's learned one thing. Yeah, that's what.
Well, I think we knew that last year too. I don't know, man.
It was. I think you know what I'd say. As bad as the defense didn't improve, I thought your internet improved a lot this season.
I think so too, man. It just got worn out, man. Could you imagine my internet having to put up with a 1-11 season? Yeah. Like it had high hopes. It had high hopes for the year, and then just incrementally got worse and worse and worse. So
yeah, and then the one time we had the great film room lined up, my internet literally just went in the toilet. So
yeah, so there you go.
It's been a bad year. It's been a tough year all around, fighting through the adversity.
Yeah,
but we made it.
But we
made it.
Bitch, barely.
No, thank you.
Oh wow, thanks.
Perfect. Also, shoot me your Venmo, Joseph, and I will send that to you. My guy. For sure. Film room this week. Seth, do we want to?
Probably not.
No.
I don't. I'm not prepared. I don't have one prepared right now.
That's fair.
We can always do it later. It's not that game ain't going anywhere.
No.
Yeah. We're tapping out. But I will say, Brian Battie was he was so fun, and we all know Jimmy Horn, Xavier Weaver gone, but if they can keep him, that'd be fantastic.
You know, he'd be pretty good in Jamie Chadwell's offense.
Brian Battie,
he'd be pretty good in it. Yeah.
I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. We'll break out the emergency broadcast for that one.
To whoever it is.
Oh, yeah.
We'll break it out. We'll be ready. If it's Dion, we'll put the red sirens in there too. We'll be ready.
Well, I appreciate that, Joseph. I'll get her some crumble this week. She was very nice to Brody today. He was having a tough go of it and let Samantha change the channel to watch Coco Melon while he kind of settled down. So that was really sweet of her. So
my 4-year-old, I got a video this morning of my 4-year-old telling my 6-year-old that she's going to punch her in the face. So there you
go. Was she about that life or was she all talk?
Oh, I think she did it.
Oh, hey man, if you don't talk about it, be about it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, she's about that action.
She about that action, boss. All right, y'all, let's get out of here. I appreciate everybody tuning in. For Seth, Vito, I have been Nathan Bond. For Steve, for everybody, we'll have the emergency show when things get hired. We'll do it all. We'll do everything. But for now, we are signing off this 1-11 season. 2023 starts now. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls. Dion me or Chadwell me.